Hello there, and this is the Flying Scotsman podcast. Trying out this feature on YouTube. Right, first time. Inspired by belief. Yeah. The Flying Scotsman is an express passenger train service that operates between Edinburgh and London, the capital's responsibility of the Scotland and England via the East Coast Main Line. To serve between 1862 and Special Scottish Express until it was officially adapted in 1924. It is currently operated by the London North Western Railway. History: the East Coast Main Line, over which is the Flying Scotsman runs, which was built in the 19th century by many small railway companies, but McMurger and equipment led to only 3 companies controlling the route: the North British Railway (NBR), the North Eastern Railway (NER), and the Great Northern Railway (GNR) in the 1860s, and the 3 companies established the East Coast Joint Stock for Edinburgh service using common vehicles, and it is from this agreement that the Flying Scotsman came out. Operation. The first special Scotch Express ran in 1862 with the simultaneous departures at 10 from GNR London King Cross and NBR's Edinburgh Waverley. The original journey took 10.162 hours, including a half-hour stop at York for lunch. Introducing competition and improvement in railway technology saw the time record to 81.2 hours by the time of the race the North in 1888. From 1896, the train was motorized and introducing such features as corridors between carriages, seating and dining across, as passengers could now take luncheon on the train. The York time was reduced to 15 minutes, but the end journey time remained 81.2 hours. Like the earlier carriages built for the service, the rolling stock was generally owned by the 3 operating companies and framed part of the pool known as the East Coast Joint Stock. The podcast live. Now we got up to London and the North Eastern Railway. In 1923, the Railway of Brighton were grouped into the Big Four as the consequence of this. All 3 members of the East Coast Joint Stock became part of the newly formed London and North Eastern Railway (LNER). In 1924, the LNER officially renamed the 10 o'clock special Scotch Express linking Edinburgh and London in both directions as Flying Scotsman is unofficially named Science in the 1970s. To further propagate the train, and recently built a 1-class locomotive, at first numbered 1472, and subsequently the 4472 was named after the service and put on display at the 1924 British Empire exhibition. Due to a long-standing agreement between the company's West Coast and East Coast mainline routes since in famous railway coaches races of 1888 and 1895, speed of the Scotch expresses were limited. The time for the 392 miles, 631 kilometers between the capitals being a pedestrian 8 hours and 15 minutes. However, the subsequent to valve a gear manufacturers and the A1 locomotives and coal consumptions was respectively reduced, and it was thus found possible to run the service non-stop with a heavy train on the Thunder full of coach, then locomotive of classes A1 and A3 which were to be used on the service were provided with corridors, tenders. These avoided engines crew footage by enabling a replacement driver, a fireman, to take over the whole way without stopping the train. During the general stock on the 11th of May 1926, the Flying Scotsman was derailed by strikers near Newcastle. No 4472 halted the inaugural non-stop train from London on the 1st of May 1928 and successfully ran the 392 miles and 631 kilometres between Edinburgh and London without stopping, a record at the time for a scheduled service. Edinburgh, the London Main Line and Scottish Railway had 4 days earlier staged a one-off publicly group by running a non-stop Royal Scot service from Euston to Edinburgh via Glasgow, 399.7 miles and 643.3 kilometres. The Flying Scotsman had improved the catering and other on board service, even a broad shop with the end of the limit speed agreement in 1932. January journey time came down 7 hours and 30 minutes, and by 1938 to 7 hours and 20 minutes. Corridor tenders. The non-stop runs were evolved with a special corridor tender which had an introduced coal, capitally of a noun, tone instead of the usual eight. A driver, a fireman were able to access the locomotive from the train, although a narrow passageway instead of the tender tank plus a flexible bell, bellows connection linking it with the loading coach. The passageway which ran along with the right hand side of the The tender was a 5 feet (1.52 meters) high and 18 inches and 0.46 meters wide. Further corridor tenders were built and involved in intervals until the 1938, and eventually there were 22 at various times. They were completed to engines of classes A1, A3, A4, and W1. But by the end of the 1948, all were running with Class A4 locomotives, use, using use of the corridor tenders for changing crew on the move in an A4 loco. It was shown in the 1953 British transport film Elizabeth Express, the name of author London to Edinburgh non-stop train. British Rail. In the late 1950s, British Rail (BR) was committed to desolation and began diversing a replacement Grace for the Gresley prophecies on the East Coast Main Line on the 6th of October 1958. Haltage on the service by Class 40s recommended. In the 1962 Class 55 Duchess took over, becoming a counterplace of BR advertising as the steam haltage on had been for the LNER. Under BR, the filming Scotsman caused to be a non-stop train calling at York, and Peterborough. It is also operated at the time behind Edinburgh on the 1st of June 1981. The neighbour-bound journey was extended to Aberdeen, which is in Scotland, by the way. Anyways, the southbound journey commuted from Glasgow Queen Street at 1905 until 4th of October 1982, when the name was transferred to the when the name was transferred to the 0730 from Aberdeen. Travis Station. The Flying Scotsman name has been maintained by the operators of the interior city East Coast frontiers since the provision of the British Rail from former Great North Eastern Railway, even subtitled itself the route of the Flying Scotsman. The Flying Scotsman was operated by GNER from April 1996 until November 2007, then by National Express East Coast until November 2009, East Coast until April 2015, and Virgin Train East Coast until June 2018. Since then, it was being adapted by the government-owned London North Eastern Railway. On the 23rd of May 2011, the Flying Scotsman brand was relaunched for a social daily fast service operated by East Coast, departing Edinburgh at 0540 and reaching London. Sorry about that. My episode got a battery. And reaching London in exactly 4 hours, calling only at Newcastle, operated by an Intercity 225 Mollards at 91 class locomotive 9101. I mean 91101, and driving van trailer 02205 were tuned out in a special maroon livery for the launch of the service. East Coast said bringing back the name train would restore a touch of glamour and romance. However, for the first time in history, the rain in one distance only there is no neighbour-bound equipment service. This schedule is maintained today. Northbound, the fastest timetabled London to Edinburgh service now takes 4 hours and 19 minutes. In October 2015, 91101 and 82205 were revealed in a new Flying Scotsman livery. The Flying Scotsman is the only LNER passenger service to run non-stop through Darlington and York. LNER now Azuma and units class 800s and O class 801s took over the service on the 1st of August 2019. Since then, this one train scheduled to run to London in 4 hours exactly. The Flying Scotsman. To celebrate Individual Women's Day on the 6th of March 2020, LNER rebounded the service. The Flying Scotsman, the Flying Scotsman, note, we banned the service flying Scotswoman for a month. On the 6th of March 2020, the service was suffered inadvertently by women, displayed a special Industrial Women's Day delivery, hosted a range of women for a variety of organizations in the rail industry, as well as from LNER locomotives, as a major link between the capital cities of England and Scotland. The Flying Scotsman was an extremely long and heavy train, especially in the days before road and air transport became common. As such, as it was required very powerful locomotives used a hull and in some cases specifically designed in a hull the Flying Scotsman have involved. And that's the end. Thanks for listening. Bye bye.